Sights and Sounds is brought to you.
We went to the movies. I forgot my wallet, but my brother sent me money.
I pretended not to notice.
Every day was a celebration.
You can bring everybody in parliament as long as they can wake up and vote for their NRM.
As long as the voters exercise their rights to elect their leaders, there was no need for term limits in Uganda.
I know him. I know how he operates. I know how he thinks.
There are ways you can go around these obstacles.
Why should I conduct myself as if I am Muyai?
It's absolutely true. I admired President Museveni.
Is the ICC a first code targeting African leaders?
You cannot tell me that the whole trouble Kenya had revolved about only the two individuals.
The money is not in the budget of this financial year.
You can't beat God. You see, God is polygamous also. Look at Jeremiah chapter 31.
The security of this country will largely depend on the contribution that the people make.
The average age of the international team is under 18.
The primary role of Team Uganda is to remain to Division 2.
Probably that's the only thing that can make one or two rugby fans smile, that the clubs are doing well.
The players haven't put on they haven't wore the game faces. They're not the animals we saw last season, because Ferguson had the same group of players and he did deliver the Holy Grail, which is the title.
Tonight on NTV.
Why would Chris want to bring his mistress into my house? Is he trying to push me away?
How? You are in control. I give you my power. Close that door.
What are you saying? We losing because of me?
Well, if the Ruby D fits.
Listen, just face it. The only board game you're any good at is Naked Twister.
And we ain't playing that.
Tonight on NTV.
Street Live in association with
Reham Fun Time. Fun all the time.
Amanya agange bampita nagadya Robina. Saba singa abokalerwe kuno bamanyirya Farida. Business eno njimazeemu ebbanga eriwera. Buzibu bwenfunya abantu balya layisi, sirina kalungi kenneekoleddemu. Tekaliimu. Omuntu n'omala omuwa emmere y'N2,000 ate n'okola naye olutalo olw'okusasula tebasasula. Akakatono ke mba nfunyeemu tetenkanyiza okulaba nga nsomesa abaana bange. Bannange abakyala abatayagala kukola bakyali mu mbeera mbi nnyo okusinziira kati abaami ssente zaffe ze batulekera ntono nnyo tezimala.
Reham Fun Time. Fun all the time.
And the change of government won't stop a thing
I've run out of fingers counting the number of multinationals setting up here.
What about the 3 companies that announced their plans to launch last week?
I say they're shortly. Me, I'd be looking to sell.
At what price?
More. Much, much more.
I don't know who you are or how you know these things, but one thing I'm sure of, you're in the wrong job. Here, call me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to hear more from you.
Are you ready for your big break? The East African, understanding the region.
NTV, turning on your world.
Welcome to NTV at One. My name is Malcolm Simi. Let's begin with the headlines.
This is an offense of office breaking.
The officers of the Uganda Human Rights Network are broken into. Did the guard connive with robbers?
Our concern is that we have never benefited from any presidential pledge.
Mixed emotions on the Chankwanzi resolution. Youth in Arua divided over a 5th term for President Museveni. And Nigeria's president has appealed for international help to find and ensure that the release of 276 schoolgirls abducted by Boko Haram fighters are found. This is NTV at One. My name is Malcolm Simi. The officers of the Human Rights Network Uganda were broken into last night by unidentified people who made off with money and computers at the Antinda Best office in Kampala. The police suspect the Hearing security guard of conniving with the burglars.
The offices of the Human Rights Network were broken into at around 11 last night by unidentified people. The attackers ransacked the office and made off with money and a range of office equipment.
Last night there were robberies here where they broke into our office and stole everything in our office. As you could see the door, they used a lot of force to break into office. Our guard who was here, we don't know what happened to him.
The guard on duty last night recorded the robbery in the organization visitor's book and is reported to have left his gun at the scene. The Hillnet officials suspect the security guard to connive with the burglaries to execute the robbery.
So they've taken about over 27 computers have been stolen, over 6 laptops, projectors, the server, and cameras, and also the safe were broken into and stole a certain amount of money.
Officials from tight security promised to work with the police to bring the suspect to book.
Have all the information, we shall track him, and investigation will continue. As of now, there's nothing much we can say, really.
The police say they have already begun searching for clues about the robbery.
This is an offense of office breaking, which was internally generated, where a security guard of tight security connived with unknown people, and they broke into the offices.
Cases of robberies and threats on lives of vocal human rights activists have been reported across the country, especially those that expose abuses by high-profile state actors. Chimuri Ivan Chigozi, Ntv at One.
It was a Black Sunday in Nairobi, barely 24 hours after twin attacks were reported in Mombasa. 2 other blasts occurred in Nairobi. 2 people were also reportedly killed and more than 60 people injured in 2 attacks in public service vehicles in Nairobi's Thika Road. The 2 attacks happened just minutes of each, then targeted 2 buses. Police cordoned off the area as the injured were taken to various hospitals. NTV's Brenda Wanga reports.
The first blast went off at around 5:20 p.m. Motorists on the busy Thika superhighway were stunned into confusion at first before the grim realization of what had just happened here struck home. This bus was coming from the CBD to Githurai and was the target of the first of 2 attacks on public service vehicles using the superhighway. The bus was going past Homeland area on its way to Githurai when, from a small salon car that had been driving alongside it, an IED was hurled inside the bus, ripping off the right side of the vehicle.
Just there, then something blew up from behind. So apparently, because I was in front, I thought it was just a tire burst because I saw something like fire.
But before the police could arrive and the residents living near the area of the incident could comprehend what was happening, just a few meters away from here, another explosion. This time, the target, a bus heading to Mwiki. The explosion happened as the vehicle was going through the Kasarani underpass. It is believed that in this case, the IED had been planted inside the vehicle. The explosion ripped off the roof of the bus, and many of the casualties were from this bus. The injured were first taken to the nearby Neema Hospital. Others were taken to Guru Nanak Hospital. 7 of those caught up in the attacks are critically injured, 5 of them children. The rest are receiving treatment. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
Brenda, very unfortunate. Nairobi has been lately attacked by had a wave of blasts in the city. The former FDC leader, Dr. Chiza Besji, had a standoff with the police in Ruwero as he traveled to the district to drum up support for the opposition sole candidate for the women parliamentary seat. Dr. Besji was blocked as he moved around, waving to his supporters. The nominations for by-elections kicked off today, and the rest will be contested by DP's Brenda Nabukenya and the NRM's Rebecca Narwanga. DP's Brenda Nabukenya is expected to be nominated this afternoon in a two exercise session that ends tomorrow.
Twagala genda na dokita.
Banaluwero ndi musanyufu bachamufu bulungi. Banaluwero bamanye eddembe lyabwe. Banaluwero si be bantu bolingirira n'olwekyo balaba bamalirivu.
Dr. Chiza Besje there in Ruero drumming up support for the DP flag bearer. And the Speaker of Parliament has expressed concern at the shortage of midwives and other specialized health workers in the country. A situation, she says, is to be quickly addressed. Rebecca Kadaga made the observation at Parliament as she received the 2012-2013 annual report about the condition of health workers from the Health Services Commission.
Then I also have this report about the scheme of service, which has a number of challenges. And we have tried as much as possible to address this, but
I'm a bit concerned at the fact that there is a shortage of trained midwives in this country.
Yes.
Because I've known for the last 4 or 5 years that we require 4,200 midwives.
Yes.
Because this is a very serious matter. I don't think it can go on like this.
Yeah.
It was there last year. No, I think we'll have to cause a debate so that some action can be taken.
So then you find many health units lack the essential health workers. 2, some cadres or some health workers are not reflected in the structure. That's why we mentioned specialists such as pathologists, ear, nose and throat specialists, ophthalmologists, orthopedic specialists, those who deal with bones and so on. So the rest, even if they train and they go to these regional referral hospitals, they do not hope to progress at all in their career.
So how can that be reversed?
That's what we have just been discussing with the Speaker, that the debate needs to occur, because we have tried to give this report many times, that there has to be restructuring of the Ministry of Health and the health units to allow that there should be a senior consultant, even the regional referral hospitals.
The NRM's party countrywide campaign of popularizing President Museveni's 2016 election bid has drawn mixed reactions in the West Nile region. While dozens of youth accepted the resolution, quite a number of them rejected it, calling for the fulfillment of earlier promises before they consider supporting the president. We have more.
Sub-county to sub-county.
MPs from the NRM party toured the West Nile region over the weekend to discuss the party's Chankwanzi resolution with its members. In Arua district, some of the youth took to the streets chanting songs in praise of President Museveni. Many promised to rally behind him in the 2016 polls.
The president fulfilled all the pledges he made in Adjumani.
He's the man, we should not go and let him just die like that. We should say thank you, and our thank you is yes to 5th term, yes to 6th term.
However, one of the youth leaders held a dissenting view about the NRM's Chankwanzi resolution.
From Yumbe district, our concern is that we have never benefited from any presidential pledge.
As West Nile, we are demanding for political status. Number one. Number two, we want a substantive minister in charge of West Nile.
Honorable Anita Minenedi imuvu mosoni andra Chankwanzi akuludi imuvu ni.
Many people in Maracha district praised the Northern Youth MP Evelyn Anite for proposing a motion that endorsed President Museveni as NRM's sole candidate in 2016.
There are many more stories coming up. This is Ntv at One. We're going to come back after these messages.
You left me here
It's okay. Just relax. I'm going to come and
help
check.
my baby.
Madam, don't stress the baby. Just relax. Do you have any?
Nothing.
Oh my God.
This is my life every day. Can one midwife deliver 5 women at a go?
This is a call on government to recruit more health workers, especially midwives, and ensure adequate staffing of health facilities. This message is brought to you by Uganda National Health Consumers Organization and Voices for Health Rights.
Enjoy the benefits of a savings plan and life protection with our retirement plan. Show them you care. Insurance Company of East Africa, ICEA, standing by you.
Power theft can not only cause destruction of properties and power outages, but can also lead to death. Speak up and report power theft. It's a crime and affects everyone. Let's unite against power theft and save lives.
Let's have a look at Health Focus now, focusing on South Africa. Now, deaths attributed to malaria have significantly been reduced by 99% in KwaZulu-Natal in a period spanning 5 years. And however, what threatens to reverse the gains made are cases of malaria brought in by travelers from neighboring countries such as Mozambique. Florence Narimba tells us how this province will, with a population of 10 million people, is relying on a three-pronged approach to eliminate the fever.
Health Focus is brought to you by Uganda National Health Consumers Organization and Voices for Health Rights.
Evoking God's commandment, love your neighbor as much as you love yourself, officials in South Africa have used this mantra to fight the malaria scourge. Across the Rainbow Nation provinces of KwaZulu-Natal, Mpumalanga and Limpopo, this message continues to work effectively. However, there is still a challenge. Travelers from Mozambique bring in almost 70% cases of malaria.
Where we're bordering Mozambique, we've got the hospital Manguzi. Most of the clinics under Manguzi are the ones which are reporting these cases, including Seleni Hospital. We also have Nrumo, which used to be a very, challenged area. It was one of our hotspots.
There was an agreement with Mozambique to do house spraying on the Mozambique side of the border.
In the 2011-2012 financial year in KwaZulu-Natal, 18% of all cases were classified as local, 43% imported, and 39% unclassified. The highest cases were from Mozambique. Other countries include Ethiopia at 20%, Congo, Ghana, Guinea, Kenya, Madagascar, and even Uganda. The KwaZulu-Natal Health Department, through the Malaria Control Program, is determined to see no resurgence of the malaria epidemic in the province after experiencing 5 epidemics between 1996 and 2000. Out of 11 districts in the province, 3 remain at risk: Umkhanyakude, Utungulu, and Zululand.
We're just considering surveillance throughout the area to make sure that we continue the fight to clean all these local cases.
By 2018 to 0%. They also have a strategy for travelers who often bring in new cases.
So that we can educate people, we can request to take blood smear at the point of entry.
KwaZulu-Natal has dramatically reduced malaria cases, but health officials and the public in the province cannot sit on their laurels. One of the challenges is to reach out to communities that live in remote hamlets,
which needs resources, extra resources, need extra teams to remind people about malaria.
Yeah, and then you find that the community don't usually close their water. They keep the water for a long time in the containers without closing them, so the mosquitoes might find the breeding site there.
Overall, in the whole country, according to the World Health Organization, cases have reduced from an annual average of over 36,000 during 2000 to 2005, up to 6,000 cases in 2009, a reduction of 83%. In the same period, deaths dropped from 127 to 45, a 65% reduction. The reductions in malaria cases have largely reduced the workload across hospitals, says Dr. Vaughan, who is the district family physician.
14 years ago, one of our little clinics was seeing 7,000 patients in a month. Now, this same clinic, I understand, last month had 4 cases. So that's a huge difference. I mean, at one point we had, most of our beds had 1 patient with malaria on top of the bed and 2 patients with malaria under the bed.
Uganda, with a lesser population of about 37 million compared to South Africa's 52 million, continues to grapple with malaria cases, which stand at a staggering 15 million almost each year. This is taking a heavy toll on the health sector. But fears of an increase in South Africa in cases are expressed. In the whole country, in January this year, a sharp peak of over 3,000 odd cases was observed. The deaths have, however, been relatively low. In January 2014, only 17 people died out of 3,279 infections. And in February 2014, infections sharply fell to 1,321, while only 5 died. Still, if you compare this to about 300 cases that occur in Uganda, not in a month, but almost every day, then South Africa is doing well. Where in a month Uganda loses over 9,000 people, South Africa can lose less than 10. Globally, according to the World Health Organization, 1.1 million deaths have been averted since 2001 through WHO's recommended interventions. The Millennium Development Goal number 6C of halting malaria by 2015 has been realized by over 80% in South Africa. They are now on to reversing the incidence of the disease. In Africa, South Africa was the first country to introduce artemisinin-based combination therapy in 2001.
There have been papers to indicate that if the drug had been changed a bit earlier, lives would have been saved and there would have been the epidemic would have been a bit less.
Dr. Vaughan says that a 3-pronged approach has been effective in the fight against malaria.
Make sure your drug works and make sure your spray works. And unless you're an island and in Africa you're part of the continent, you also need to have collaboration with your neighbours, because if you've got a malaria epidemic just across your border, then it's going to be very hard for you to get control near the border.
Without such efforts, the undiminished scourge will continue to ravage communities, killing an estimated 600,000 people annually, mostly children in sub-Saharan Africa. Florence Salimba, NTV in Jozini, KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa.
Thank you, Florence. We're going to have a look now at international news, and just across in Nigeria, President Goodluck Jonathan has appealed for international help to find and ensure the release of 276 schoolgirls abducted by suspected Boko Haram fighters amid criticism over government inaction.
Nigeria's President Goodluck Jonathan said on Sunday that he had sought help from the US President Barack Obama and also approached other world powers, including Britain, France and China, for help on security issues. He assured that the disappearance of the girls would not be another global mystery, in reference to the missing Malaysian passenger jet that has not been found, despite the vast multinational search deployed.
We believe that wherever these girls are, we'll get them out. What we request is maximum cooperation from the guardians and the parents of these girls, because up to this time they've not been able to come clearly to give the police clear identity of the girls that are yet to return.
Jonathan's meeting was the first time the president had met with all stakeholders, including the principal of the Chibok Government Girls Secondary School in northeastern Nigeria, where the girls and young women were kidnapped in a pre-dawn raid April 15th. Presidential advisor Reuben Abati told reporters. Nigeria's anger at the failure to rescue the students and protest marches last week in major Nigerian cities as well as New York City have spurred to action Jonathan's government, which many see as uncaring of the girls' plight. And verified reports suggest that some of the girls were sold into marriage with their abductors for $12. Some of the girls were taken across Nigeria's borders to Cameroon and Chad, parents said last week, quoting villagers. Anguished parents in Chibok town who have lost confidence in the government and military have been begging for international help. The mass kidnapping is one of the most shocking attacks in Boko Haram's 5-year offensive, which has killed thousands across north and center of the country, including 1,500 people this year alone. Boko Haram, an armed group whose name means Western education is sinful, is fighting what it calls Western influence and wants to form an Islamic state in Africa's largest oil producer country.
That's just happening across Nigeria. And on a lighter note, NTV has acquired new vehicles to enable the station run its day-to-day activities even more effectively. We have the pictures.
We, the team at Cooper Motors, congratulate NTV for a very wise decision. They have picked on the car that has a wonderful engine that will see them turning on the world, as their tagline says.
For the Suzuki, it's a very friendly car. It's fuel-friendly engine with a very large boot. It is spacious, I mean headroom and legroom, and its parts are affordable. And we have a very good service reception that will offer you good intervals of service.
Facilitating the good job done. That's Ntv at One. We're going to cross over now to the team that brings you Omuri fixtures, updates, and all the news that you need to know from the world of game. David Romansi, Daka Wachigongo, and Aaron Darren are up next.
Ntv, turning on your world.
Smelling nice and being tough can go together. The freshness of fabric conditioner is now combined with the best ever stain removal of Omo. New Omo, best ever stain removal.